What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Zach and Pat Show. I'm Zach.
I'm Pat.
This is the show about manhood, fatherhood, entrepreneurship, and the mentality it takes to be successful at those things. And we'll certainly sprinkle in some helpful real estate advice too, because that's what Pat and I do. You know, guys, life can be tough, and we can go through some things and struggle at times. But this is the show to let you know that you're not alone. So if you're someone out there who's going through a hard time, this is the show for you. What's up, dude?
What's going on, man?
Yeah, whoa, let's do some housekeeping first before we...
What
What is this stuff?
What is it? Oh my God. Neurogum?
Let me try
Neuro
it.
mints?
This might be my fourth or fifth one of the day.
Wow.
But, it's a great product. Keeps me alert. Instead of, in the afternoons, I'm a caffeine junkie, man. We were laughing about it before the show. I'm probably consuming anywhere from 600 milligrams to 1,000 milligrams a day in caffeine. And so this kind of has helped me mitigate that just a little bit because it's a small amount of caffeine per piece. So it's about 40 milligrams per piece of gum. And, in the afternoons, if I'm feeling a little tired, I'll just chew a piece instead of where I would normally go grab an energy drink or something like that. This is something I use instead. So,
yeah, I mean, I love it. I haven't, the one thing that I get, you don't get the jitters.
Mm-mm.
So it's great. It's about half a cup of coffee per piece. And, I use it at night. I play hockey and all of our games are late at night. So, I don't want to drink a whole energy drink because I'm going to be wired all night. What's great is I can pop this in. I can play I can chew it while I'm playing.
Right.
And it just keeps me going. It keeps me energized. And at the end of the game, I'm not overstimulated. I can get home and I can crash. So,
Yeah. Are you not a mouth guard guy when you play hockey?
Fuck no. I don't even wear a mask either. I got a half shield. Yeah. So mouth guards are more concussion proof, and it's non-check. So even if I get hit in the face with a puck or a stick with a mouth guard in, it's still gonna knock my fucking teeth out. Yeah.
So I have to have a mouth guard when I'm doing jiu-jitsu, man. I need something to harden down on.
Well, right, but it's a physical sport, so you're gonna.
I've bitten my tongue so many times.
That and bumping your head. So yeah, and with hockey though, now it can get physical, but not enough to where you should be concerned about getting a concussion. So that's mainly it should be more called a concussion guard instead of a mouth guard. That's what it is. It keeps you from jarring. That's the main cause of concussions from what I've learned. I've had 6 of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the main thing that I learned with those, and
keeping that jaw still.
Yeah. And most of the time it's that jarring you're hitting your jaw up and jarring your brain, and so that mouth guard prevents that from happening.
Yeah.
So, yeah, at this point, if I get hit with a stick or a puck, I'm fucked either way. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, our show's also brought to you by
Fit Flavors. Thank you to Fit Flavors for hooking us up with our own code. So now through the end of May, it's one-time use. If you go online, you can get an online gift card and enter the promo code podcast50. And you'll get 50% off of your gift card purchase. So I went on, I bought a $1,000 gift card for $500. And I eat there constantly. Mm-hmm. And
we do too.
I'm buying 15, 16 meals a week from there. And it's great because with how much I spend there, it's really helped. I still, like I said, I buy that much. I've had it for about a month now. Well, I guess about 3 weeks. And I still have $500 left on that card.
I was going to say, what does 15 meals without the discount go for?
They're about $200.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. They're man, it's become such a time saver for me. Mm-hmm. That's why I love it. I used to just dread, prepping meals and meal prepping and just spending that time doing that. And man, I would never be as creative as these dishes that they make,
right.
My shit was.
With how much shit we've got going on between work, the podcast, and the other extracurriculars with kids and the family, your jiu-jitsu, my hockey and coaching, and your coaching and
watching
CrossFit.
Just Gaethje get knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, there's just so many things that we do that anything that we can do to save time is great. And me getting back into working with a nutritionist and getting back in check. What's great about it is it has everything listed on the label, and if you listen to that podcast that we did, it's quality control. They know exactly how much is going in there. So everything is always the same.
Yep.
and what you're getting. So it's reliable in the fact that you know exactly what those counts are, that's what you're getting in. And
tracking
for me,
your macros, it's so easy.
Exactly. And it makes it so simple to, like, I wouldn't be able to get through this if I didn't pre-plan my meals.
Yeah.
So now I can scan these in: lunch, breakfast, dinner, snacks, and it just basically maps out my day and helps me save time and trying to decide, this is what gets me right in line with my macros and what I need to do to maintain.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. So check it out, guys. Go to fitflavors.com and use promo code podcast50 to buy a gift card. Anyway, yeah, man, how have you been? How was this last week?
I'll be honest. Last week I didn't win last week.
Okay.
Yeah, last week was not a win for me. Battling sickness with the kids and in terms, it wasn't a win in terms of time management. I could have done way better at my time management, and that's the thing is, like, I'm adamant about how my schedule is regimented so I can get this. So obviously, sick kids throw that into a wrench, but I was able to get the things done that I needed to do for work. It was the personal stuff, like getting to the gym and things like that took a back seat.
Mm-hmm.
And I just have to remember, and having talked with my Rachel, my strength coach and nutritionist, that I need to make sure that I put a focus on that and pre-plan and all that. And normally I do. But yeah, dealing with sick kids is definitely one of those things that can throw a wrench in it, and you just got to make it work. And sometimes personal stuff takes a back seat, and proud of myself, got right back on it.
Yeah.
One thing I did stick with was, my meals. I mean, as long as I was consistent with that was good. And I got my stuff done for work.
Yeah.
But personally, I'm disappointed that I didn't do a better job of planning to take care of myself personally.
Well, here you are, man. You're back on the horse. You didn't have a good week, so it's just, you're gonna make this week great.
Right. Exactly. It's just,
you're gonna win this week.
Yeah. Veered right for a second, and now we're coming back left to get back on track.
Yeah, exactly.
How about you?
Yeah, I had a really good week.
That's awesome.
Looking back on it, I had a really big big listing for me go live, and we sold that one for significantly over ask, which my seller's stoked. I'm stoked.
Oh yeah.
I've got a even bigger listing coming on this weekend, and I've got like 4 more kind of in the queue. So I'm very, very busy right now. I've got a couple buyers that are starting to come out of the woodwork, and so I'm really, things have business wise have I don't think they've ever been better. Really, I've kind of got the listing, my process really like dialed in with my cleaner and my stager and my photographer and my video guy. Like, I've got everything down to a fucking science now, and it's working really well, as long as as long as I can coach my clients into kind of making everything happen. It's been going really, really well, so I can't complain there. We had Calvin's birthday on Monday. It was fun. Just turned 2.
That's awesome.
We had a nice little day. I kind of almost took the whole day off work. I did go get some running around done while he napped. Woke up in the morning, went out to breakfast, and went to the zoo, and then I came home and napped, and then when he woke up, we went to the park, and then went out to dinner, or we went and got him Chick-fil-A, because he loves Chick-fil-A. It was just a great little day. So
that's awesome.
Really just take family first kind of day. It was awesome. But yeah, everything's going pretty well. Jiu-jitsu's been going great. I'm having some success with some new moves that I haven't really worked with, and I've been really messing with it for a long time, and starting to see success with it. So that's super rewarding, because that's one thing, man. If you're ever trying to like learn something new, because you get into these patterns of things that you're like, okay, I'm good at this, and I could just keep doing this, and this works for me. But then, man, you kind of get bored of it. It's like, I've hit this choke so many times. I've hit this, I've gotten this guy, and I've gotten these people in this same move. You kind of find yourself following a certain pattern, and what?
You armbar the fuck out of me every time.
Sure. But yeah, I've been working with kind of a new set of takedowns, and like we were talking in the locker room the other day, and man, it's like almost hitting like a super clean takedown and like taking someone down is almost as rewarding to me as hitting, like, getting somebody in a submission. Like, it's just when you hit someone with like a perfect clean takedown, and and they hit the floor, and it just feels effortless. Like, it feels so good.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So things have been going really well. So I can't complain at all. just trying to keep everything straight, and that's the one thing is when I've got this many irons in the fire, it's, you got to kind of remember what's going on with each one. And, it's just part of the business. So, and we got the social summit. Well, when this comes out, it'll be in just a couple days. So that'll be really fun. I'm looking forward to that. We just had Ashley on. That was a fucking incredible podcast.
Yeah. She's awesome.
Yeah. What a crazy story.
I know.
What a cool lady.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's just fun. Like just the relationship that her and I created when we were in college. I mean, since day one, first day of college, like her and I, we were just like drawn to each other, not like just as friends. Mm-hmm. Like we've always been there for each other. Like she mentions it, like I was like her protector and she was my wing woman. I mean, she set me up on dates and with some of her friends and it was great. Like we had a very good relationship and she's one of the few from that group that we've always maintained a relationship all through college, after college and things like that. And, even when she moved to New York, and was successful. I mean, we still took time to like message each other and things like that. And I'm really proud of her. I mean, like she mentions, I mean, neither one of us were the best at school, well, at least in college. I mean, we did what we needed to do to graduate. But we both had that like go get it attitude and it's incredible to see how far she's come from there to where she's at today and just the chances that she takes, which, I mean, that's how she was in college too, which was, I mean, like that was the thing. I was like, Ashley was one of those that I never worried about being successful just because she had that personality. So
yeah. Oh man. Yeah, for sure. That's incredible. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall, in your guys' dorm rooms.
Oh God. Yeah. It was, there were some fun times.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure, man.
So,
well, I think we kind of wanted to make today a real estate, kind of focused episode, and we thought we'd kind of give you guys some insight into what a day in the life of a realtor and a mortgage loan officer, and you can kind of see what kind of goes into it, because if you look at TV or you look at you watch any of these shows, which we actually just, speaking of shows, might as well bring it up. We just me and Gina are all caught up on the series, but there's this series on Max. It's all about Lake of the Ozarks.
Oh, really?
It follows around like these 3 or 4 real estate agents in Lake of the Ozarks.
What's it called?
It's called Lake Empire.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's really cool. I think it's like 3 or 4 real estate agents. Like 3 of them are like the fucking kingpins of the lake. Like they sell like all like the 2, 3, 4, 5, $10 million homes there. Mm-hmm. And then, and then they got the couple newer agents. Like there's this guy who came in from Jeff City and he's brand new to the area, and it's a different, but anyway, you'll see the same people that are like the kingpin lady, she sells like all these $1 million, $3 million, $4, $5 million. You've seen these gorgeous houses at the lake. And then, then the next scene, she's showing like these people from St. Louis, a $250,000 house on the lake. Yeah. And like, they've got this, the champagne taste on a beer budget, mm-hmm. Kind of thing. And it's just funny. It's really interesting to see. But, just watching those shows, it's just like, man, this is not, I mean, it kind of shows you what it's like, but not really. They make it seem so like staged and dramatized. And, I mean, there are some realistic aspects to it. Like, I mean, there's, the agent tells them, well, they've already got multiple offers on this house, and these people are walking through, well, the dock's messed up, that's going to be $50,000 off. And so they like write these offers that are like way below asking when they know that they've got multiple offers in place. I'm like, well, that's true right there. And then you find out that the buyer didn't get it, and you're like, and they're disappointed. I'm like, well, what did you expect? Yeah, exactly. Come on. Like if you got 10 offers in hand and you're hitting them, $60,000 below the asking price, why are they going to go with your offer?
Oh, absolutely.
Like no love letter is worth $60,000.
No,
And what I mean by love letter is, there's a lot of times when you're up against multiple offers, you will like, I'll suggest my clients do it pretty often, where you'll basically write a letter from the buyer to the seller, telling them why this house is perfect for you. It's supposed to kind of tug on the heartstrings a little bit of the seller. And I've had instances where the love letters have won, but it's more because the offer was so strong with the love letter, and maybe it got down to 2 offers and they were very, very similar, and they ended up going with the person, my client, because they had a great story that they fell in love with. Like, for example, the house that one of the houses I have under contract right now, I mean, it was the best offer we had. I mean, there was a couple that were up there with it, but they're like, oh, we wanted this. This is they have they have 4 kids. This was the house that my clients raised. They raised 3 kids in for 35 years, and they wanted it to go to a family instead of just or that's what they wanted. So yeah, there are instances where the love letters will work, but it's not going to completely translate to money. Money talks.
Money talks.
Yeah, money talks.
Yeah.
Like it's funny when I'll just keep ragging on that story because it's the most recent one in my head. But my buddy, so these are one of my best friends. It's it was his parents' house that I was selling, and my buddy's a lawyer, and he came over when we were going through all the offers together, and of course his mom's like looking at all the letters, and my buddy goes, no, take that away from her. No, we look at the money, Mom. We look at the money. Don't you look at that.
Yeah.
He goes,
we'll look at those last.
Yeah, we'll look at those last. Let's figure out what offer we like first. Let's not fall in love with some sappy story because I always tell my clients like, really, if you need to exaggerate a little bit, exaggerate.
Right.
What are they gonna know?
Yeah.
Like if you need to kind of sell the story, sell yourself.
Right.
I can see my kids I can see us in this house, walking down the steps and seeing the Christmas tree, and I can imagine my kids trick-or-treating in this neighborhood, and my best
Murph,
friend lives up the street.
Yeah, Murph, here's a business idea for you.
Yeah.
Start writing people's love letters.
No one wants me to know. You do not want me to do that because I'll put myself in the position. I can see myself butt ass naked on a couch smoking weed over there. Dude, when we were touring the houses for me, I'm like, dude, I bet I'm going to be high as fuck over there.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Love letter.
Yeah. Hey, that might appeal to certain audiences. You never know.
I know my demographic, damn it.
We walk in, we see a Bob Marley poster on the wall, and Murph's like, oh, I got the perfect letter for this guy.
This place, the energy and the vibes are high in this place.
And there's lava lamps and
yeah. We all know what I'm about.
Yeah, exactly. So just thought you kind of give you guys a typical, an idea of what we do on a daily basis because it's not just, we're not just, at least on my end of it, we kind of get seen as, oh, all you guys do is open up doors and you make a ton of money. But it's a lot more than that. That's a very, very small portion of the business.
No, and here's the thing too, is like on the lending side of it, like I'll be honest, most mortgage lenders, they have no clue what real estate agents really do. I was fortunate enough, like my ex-wife is a realtor, and I got a peek behind that curtain and I'm like, fuck, there's no way I could be able to do what you guys do on a daily basis. Like I know what I do is tough and all that, but what you guys, like the emotions and the things like that, like ours, it's pretty black and white.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
for
the numbers work. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
can't really fuck around. I mean, there might be a little bit of gray area that you can work in on the mortgage side when it comes to guidelines.
When you know people in the company like you do.
Yeah. Yeah. There's things that you can do. There's things that you can do to work in some gray areas that are within the guidelines. It just comes down to interpretation. And if you're willing to fight for that interpretation of it, then, most of the time you're able to get that. But there's not really an emotion involved to it. So, I mean, but again, good loan officers are going to try and bring out some emotion. Just because, everything has emotions tied to it. So,
sure. Especially when there's that much money being thrown around,
But I mean, you're not just, for me, I mean, every once in a while we'll get some parents involved, but I mean, a lot of times, especially young couples, I mean, I'm sure they're relying on their families and you're having to manage all of these personalities and expectations. And I mean, just having seen behind the curtain.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean,
insane.
Can't tell you how many times I've been going to show houses and we've got like, it's a caravan because the whole family, grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, everybody had to come and, check out the houses.
Well, it's like that spoof we did
and it's just like
with Connor on Thanksgiving.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's true, man.
It
People
happens.
will, because, you have your uncle that bought a house 20 years ago and he's trying to advise you on buying a house when the game's changed.
Yeah.
The game is always changing.
It's always changing. Yeah.
The shit that worked 20 years ago definitely doesn't apply today.
Right. Well, I mean, that's why I know a lot of agents that focus specifically on investors because there's no emotions. It's do the numbers make sense? And if the numbers make sense, they don't tie emotions to it. They're going to buy this because they know that it's going to be a good investment moving forward. It's going to make them money, things like that. But when you're buying your primary residence and things like that, yeah, that's going to change things. That's going to put there's going to be more emotions to it, and that's a tricky thing to navigate.
Yeah. Well, I work with both, people that are looking to occupy the residence as their primary residence, and I work with a lot of investors. And yeah, I definitely see both sides of it. And, there's pros and cons to both. And, the cons to working with investors, in my opinion, is, you're more than likely you're looking at rough houses that are not usually very high price points. Most investors that I work with are looking for like houses that have been neglected or abandoned, or there's a crazy situation with the seller and they're trying to kind of relieve them of that. But typically in that instance, there's probably not a very high price point, and,
Right.
and we're paid on percentage.
Mhm.
So, I might be out showing this investor, a ton of homes, and if we're looking at $50,000 houses, it's not going to pay me a ton.
Right.
But they are also the positive to that is exactly what you said is I'm dealing with someone who's not making decisions on emotions. They're basically like, okay, the numbers work on this one. I like it. I like the neighborhood, the house. I can see what it'll be. Boom. All right, cool. We'll buy it. No questions asked. And they're experienced in buying houses. So
Right.
like I don't have to like hold their hand through it as much because they do it all the time.
Mhm.
And versus when I'm working with people that's going to be their primary residence, it's a little different. Obviously, they're going to live there. They care a lot more about it. They're going to imagine themselves in the house. They're going to hope more than likely be there for a long time. Anywhere the average, what's the average someone lives in a house like 5 or 6 years?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. And so they got to see themselves there for the next, half a decade. And but also what comes with that is usually higher price points most of the time. So that's why my business is kind of a mixture of both. I help both because it definitely, I don't want to just market to investors, because I really do enjoy working with my friends, working with people that are looking for their primary residence, because it makes me feel it's very rewarding, and it makes me feel like I really helped this family out. Like I helped them find the place that they're going to live, the place that they're going to call home, the place that they're going to raise their kids. They're going to have Christmases here. They're going to, they're going to love it, and I want them to love it. And that's one of the super rewarding parts about my job that I like.
Yeah.
But as far as a day in the life goes,
I mean, like I said,
man,
it's really hard to just pick a day because every day is different. So
Yeah.
like, what's a week? Like,
okay.
I mean,
Well,
you could.
I could just kind of give you
could-
an idea of my week this week.
Yeah, I mean, you could.
Monday was a little weird for me because it was Calvin's birthday, but let me just kind of look at like another Monday. So Mondays, like for instance, we would have a lot of times I'll make offers. If I have a listing, we'll make offers due that Monday. And maybe, in that Monday night, I might be getting together with that seller, reviewing those offers, going through all the options that we have. Okay, we got 4 offers here. I think offer 3 is probably our most attractive one. It's going to you're going to walk away with the most proceeds, and it's the, easiest path to closing, with this, their inspections have been edited, so it's a little bit easier to deal with. So maybe I'm negotiating offers with, or I'm reviewing offers with my seller. Maybe I'm out showing houses earlier that day to a potential buyer I have. Maybe I spent the morning, making calls, or I'm either calling past clients, calling to check in with them, just like, hey, because I periodically check in with my people, which that's a huge part of our business, is following up with people, not being forgotten about, because you got to stay top of mind with your people. And once you find your tribe and your community that you've kind of built around your business, you really need to stay top of mind with them. I've got a pretty aggressive follow-up system. I've kind of got some of my clients in this portal where, I send them quarterly gifts, and I do all sorts of little things to kind of just always be touching on my people, always be loving on my people, just so that when the question arises, or they hear someone like looking for a real estate agent, or they're considering moving again, I don't even want it to be a second thought that my name isn't the one that they throw out there.
Right.
And that's I think why my business has grown like it has. And I treat every one of my clients, I try to treat them, even from the beginning when I was helping people look at, these very inexpensive houses, I wanted to treat them like they were $1 million clients, because I always said I wanted to be the realtor for life. And I plan on doing this for a long time, and I'm not going anywhere. So if you're, whether I'm helping you sell this house that we're buying today in 5 years, or you're going to be here for the next 30, I want to be your go-to guy, whether you're whether if you need a roofer, if you need an electrician, if you need a mover, if you need somebody, like I've got 5 of everybody, and I've kind of battle tested them all at this point, and I've got I've got a guy for just about any job out there. So I'm not going to go, might not be the guy over there doing it myself, but I can definitely give you a phone number to call, trustworthy and reliable person.
No.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. It's kind of like, so it's hard for me to just pick a day, but it could be very different. I mean, there's a lot of days where I'm out driving around and like, we got this flip coming on here soon. So I've been kind of running around last minute trying to kind of get everything together, because that one should be hitting the market in the next 2 weeks. I did just kind of find one thing we need to work on still. So there's a couple touch-up things we still need to do, but I'm going over there tonight with my contractor, kind of going to get a final checklist of everything that needs to be done. So looking forward to that. And that'll be one of my 4 coming on the market. I've got 4 coming on here after this weekend, though, this big one that I have. So things are good.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. Been cruising. So
Very nice.
Yeah.
So
what's a day in the life for Pat Doyle?
depends. Pick a day of the week.
Yeah, because I like how you do it. You
Yeah,
do every day's got
every
a different
day.
day.
Every day is different.
Thursdays.
Thursdays. So Thursday mornings are usually, it's not a day that I'm working out in the morning. So that's usually if I don't have closings, I've got a coffee meeting set up. So Thursdays, and then I'm part of a BNI group. So from 11:30 to 1, that's blocked off every Thursday for BNI. And then
Is that in person?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we meet every week in person. But yeah, so usually if I don't have a closing or working out in the morning, we'll have a coffee meeting or breakfast meeting. And then
With agents
typically. Yeah. And then we'll go to BNI, do BNI, get back from BNI, and then I'm catching up on emails that I might have missed from the beginning of the day to now. And then that's when I kind of will take an hour and a half, 2 hours to like problem solve any issues that come up. Luckily, I've got an amazing team behind me that usually has those things taken care of that I don't have to worry about. But occasionally things do pop up or questions are asked that they need my answer on. And that's when I'll answer those questions for about an hour to hour and a half, 2 hours. And then after that, like I don't schedule someone calls me. I'll be honest, it's very rarely that you're going to catch me on the phone when you call me right away, because I'm usually because I've got my schedule so structured that I have something at that time, or I'm working on something at that time. So, I'll have my meetings or like consultations or application phone calls from 3 p.m. on. If I don't have my boys, I'm working until 9 o'clock at night. With meetings and consultations, like I'll try, most people, like I said, they're working. So I have to work around their schedule. I'm not 9 to 5.
Right.
So
Otherwise we wouldn't be working together.
No, exactly. So my schedule is very dependent upon, one, whether or not I have my boys, but also my clients and people that are referred to me, their schedules. I mean, for example, last night, I didn't have my boys and I got a referral over, and he works second shift for Boeing. And the only time that he could talk was on his like lunch break, which is like 6:30 at night. So I'm like, yeah, sure, man, let's talk at 6:30.
Perfect.
So I didn't have anything scheduled and was able to fit him in that day. I mean, if you text me early enough in the day, I can usually figure out a way to get you in that day for a phone call. But most of the time I'll text them like, hey, well, does this time work for you today? If not, let's look at another day this week and we'll get it scheduled. But yeah, 3 p.m. and on are usually my meeting with client hours. But also at the same time in the background, I've got emails and texts that go out to clients that on Thursdays that are pre-qualified, meaning I don't have all their docs, or, we've only done a soft credit pull. They haven't wanted a hard pull done. They just wanted a soft pull. And that's usually when I'm reaching out to them saying, hey, I know we're getting ready to head into the weekend. Are you guys thinking about house hunting this weekend? If so, these are the docs that I'm still missing, or I need to do a full credit pull. If you've got a house in mind that you're wanting to offer on. And that's usually, and I'll be like, if you do have a house, text me the address or get me the docs, and we'll work to get you fully approved. And so, cause that kind of leads into my Friday, where Fridays kids aren't in school on Friday. So if I don't have the kids, I mean, that means if I have them Thursday night, I drop them off to their mom Friday morning, and then I'll have the rest of the day. So I'll get my workout in, and then I'll have the rest of the day where basically Fridays I'm sitting there working up numbers for like people that are already pre-approved.
They're going to look at houses.
Yeah, because so I want them to make sure that they've got. I mean, you've seen the mortgage presentation that I put together, so I'll send that out to them and say, hey, listen here, this is what those houses or one house that you're interested in. This is the different scenarios or options that are available, and so you know the payment, things like that, so you have an idea moving in. Like, hey, is this going to be worth it for me? And heck, you might see the numbers, and it could save them time from going to see it, save the agents time from running around with them and stuff like that. So, but yeah, that's my Thursday. Like I said, Friday is the same thing. So, Saturday, Sunday, really just on call.
Yeah.
Always on call in case something comes up. If I can't take it, I mean, there hasn't really. I mean, I'm usually only not like able to get within my computer or something for maybe a couple hours.
Right.
But we can always be like, hey, all right. And that's a great thing.
And that's part of being a team, man, is
Mhm.
having a team is you got, you can call Mitch or call Christina or all
Right.
the other people you work with.
And all right, if I can't get to it right away, I'll reach out to them and try and set something up to where they can talk to them. If not, then, I'll have the person fill out an online application and have them upload their docs. And then as soon as I get back, I'll get to work on it. But I mean, in this day and age with real estate and how it's structured, like, I think the greatest thing that happened through COVID was like, hey, offers are due at this time, we're accepting by this time. So now, like when I first got in the business, it wasn't like that.
Right.
So like someone calls in for a pre-approval, like
Gotta go now.
You got to do it right now because they're getting ready to write an offer on that house
Right
that
now.
night.
Yeah.
And so,
Well, now it's like, oh, okay, well, it just came on the market today. We got 3 days to get it in. Like that's
right.
nice.
It's
especially
nice.
from
It allows people to structure their schedule, and it allows it's made the process of buying a house, in my opinion, better.
I agree.
And
I
think,
never knew anything else. So.
Right. And I hope it stays that way. I really do. But yeah, so I mean, those weekends I'm on call, and Mondays I work out in the morning. I usually don't schedule too many meetings on Mondays unless I absolutely have to. That's the only time that works for the person that I'm meeting. But usually my Mondays are pretty open. So I'll work because nobody really closes on Mondays. So I don't have to worry about closings in the morning. So usually I'll go work out in the morning, come back, shower, get ready, and I'll have, usually it's all booked out from previous days. But yeah, Mondays are when I do my power hours, when I'm calling agents and trying to book meetings for the following week. I'll do that for about 2 hours. Catching up on emails that might have come through over the weekend. But then, I've got it scheduled. Like I've got meetings from 3 p.m. on.
Yeah.
And then my Tuesday updates, when it depends on the day or how busy it is. And I'll either do it Tuesday or Wednesday. But Tuesdays, usually do Tuesday update calls where I'm calling the buyer's agent, listing agent, just to keep everybody in the loop on what's happening. And again, meetings, try to have at least 3 in-person meetings a week. Whether it's real estate agents, I try and have at least 2 with real estate agents and then 1 person from my BNI group. So, just trying to get it structured that way. Obviously things can change when kids are sick. So like last week, had to readjust some things, but ultimately, for the most part, I mean, stay pretty structured on my schedule because it allows me to get so much more done and be more productive that way.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. Well, there's one thing I want to touch on there that you said a while back, but it definitely stuck out to me because it's what separates you from a lot of loan officers out there is the fact that you're not 9 to 5, because if you want to be successful in real estate, you're not working in Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 business.
No.
You're most of the time you're like Pat said, you're working around your client's schedule. Like you have to be in service to them. Like that's how I think about it. I spent a decade in the service industry, and I think that's totally applies to what I do today because I am in service to my clients. And I mean, doesn't mean I back into every little thing that they need, but
right.
I need, you need to put your foot down sometimes, but you got to remember that you're in service to them and you got to work around their schedule. We have potential to make a lot of money in this industry. And so you got to remember that, hey, this is serious business. Like this is a huge, huge deal for these people. Like they're making a huge financial decision commitment, and you got to be in service to them. So you got to work around their schedule. They might work 9 to 5. So that means that when you're working with them, You're working outside of their work hours. You're looking at houses on nights and weekends, and that's what separates Pat versus versus a lot of lenders out there is he will, if you call Pat on a Saturday at 5 o'clock, I guarantee you, and you say, hey man, my client wants to write an offer on this house. We need a pre-approval, like ASAP. Within an hour or two, Pat's got it in my email for sure. Maybe even 15. I mean, he's had it to me even faster than that. But I'm just not trying to put a lot of pressure on him here. But I don't want to set the expectations too high.
Yeah.
But
I mean, if they're able to get me their docs super quick and I know that it's a rush, then yeah. I mean, that's, like I said, the most of the time now it's not.
You got
really,
time.
I've got time.
And if you don't have time, it's kind of either the client's fault. Well, not the client. I mean, it might be the client's fault for, kind of deciding last minute that this is the house that they want.
Right.
Or it's the agent waiting, the last minute because, I didn't realize they weren't, I didn't have their letter or whatever, like that's, a couple people are at fault there for sure. But yeah.
And that's the thing. I mean, you've touched on it before, but like I said, I mean, I was 30 minutes away from officiating a wedding.
Yeah, I always tell that story, man. I tell that story anytime I'm talking with my buyers because how it works is most people are going to come to the real estate agent first. They're going to come to me first, and then unless they bought a bunch of houses before or they're very familiar with the process, then in that case they'll reach out to the lender first. But that's usually the first thing that I do if you're looking to buy a house specifically. If you're looking to sell, it's a little different, but if you're looking to buy, I mean, the first step is to put them in contact with a lender and make sure that this is even financially an option. Most real estate agents will not go show you houses unless you're pre-approved. I don't get paid to show houses. I get paid to close deals.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to go out and show you a couple houses just because you want to look around and, if we know that it's financially an option for you, then hell yeah, let's go look at every single house you want to look at. But if you're not willing to, spend the 30 minutes getting your shit together and getting all your documents over to a professional and making sure that this is a financial option for you, then it's a waste of my time. If you're not willing to, put that into the equation first, because we need a little something out of you before we can, commit. And, especially with the changes in the industry coming along, like if you're going to start working with, if you are going to work with a buyer's agent, which I recommend you do, you're probably going to have to sign some sort of buyer's agreement before you even go out and show them houses. So that's just something to prepare for with the changes in the industry. I mean, most agents were having you do that before. I would most of the time. Some people I wouldn't. It's definitely something I need to be way more diligent about in my business moving forward with, the commission structure that's kind of changing in our industry this coming July. So that's a challenge and, I'm ready for it. So.
But we got some good news though. So FHA, Fannie,
that,
and Freddie have all announced that they're not going to take the buyer's agent commission as part of the concessions. So concessions would be what a seller can credit a buyer towards closing costs. So FHA is 6%. Conventional, if you're putting less than 10% down, is 3%. 10% or more is 6%. The buyer's agent commission is not going to be included in that. Which is great news. We're still waiting to hear from VA, which,
that's the big one, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing though, is we have been hearing that they're going to make some sort of announcement on it.
They have to.
Right.
Otherwise,
VA,
it's just going to screw every veteran.
Exactly. So yeah, it's nice that, we're able to do that. So like I said, I mean, if not, it's not going to be possible for people to buy a house, but it does lead to the concerns on, is the house going to appraise?
Mm-hmm.
So it's tough. It's one of those things like we're going to navigate it when it gets here. I mean, we've survived and made it through so many different things. It's just one more thing that we've got to adapt to. And I mean, I'm excited about it. I mean, it's going to separate the good people from the bad people and
even more. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
The part-time agents are I think that's going to kind of put an end to a lot of not an end, but I think it's going to, not that I feel like that's already slowed down significantly over the last couple of years. Yeah. But I think it's only going to really kind of weed out the people that are not looking to make a career out of this, because that's the one thing that it really irritates me about our industry is that, you can just go take a class and get a license. And then, you can you can go out there and sell houses, and it's like you might not really know what you're doing yet
Right,
when
because
you
they
get
don't
that
teach you anything.
when you get that license, they don't. And they told me that when I was getting it. And when you take the class, they're like, yeah, you're probably not going to use like 90% of the shit that you're going to learn or have to learn to pass the test in here, but
Retweet.
you got to learn it anyway. And
it's the same on my side.
Yeah, it just doesn't teach you shit. But
teach you how to talk to clients, doesn't teach you how to prospect for
Yeah.
agents, doesn't teach you how to prospect for clients, doesn't teach you how to do an application. It doesn't teach you any of
They
that.
didn't even show us how to write an offer, which
Yeah.
is like, that's like day one shit,
Right.
you know?
Without being in the field, it is incredibly hard to teach someone sales.
Yeah.
I agree.
You have to get the reps in person.
100%.
Oh,
You got to
absolutely.
get out there. You got to pick up the phone. You got to go knock on some doors. You got to put yourself in uncomfortable positions, and I'll be honest, man, at least a lot for me when I was first starting, it was a lot of faking it till you make it, like, because you're so scared at first of not knowing something. And I'll be honest, I got over that. I mean, I did have a great mentor that I could go to with any question, but there was multiple times in my career, and I still come across it still, where somebody will ask me something and I don't know the answer. And you got to be okay with telling them that, hey, man, I don't know that, but I will figure it out for you.
Right.
Like hey, I don't know. That's the first time anybody's ever asked me that question. Let me figure that out to you, and I'll get back to you.
Right.
And that's an okay answer.
Yeah.
If you're gonna work, if someone doesn't want to work with you because you don't have every answer to every question ever, then okay, maybe that might not be the right person to work with. But just because they sound like they're going to be difficult just from the jump, if they're going to.
Well, and I'll be honest. I mean, there's times where I'm meeting with agents and I'll know the answer, but I'll purposely say, you know what? I'm going to have to look into that, but I want to get back to you just because I want to be able to show them that I'm able to follow up with what I told them I was going to follow up on. And I mean, it helps me practice for when that time does come that I don't know something that I know that I need to go and get this answer because they asked and get it to them. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the greatest things that you could tell somebody is like, you know what? I don't know, but I will find the answer for you and I will get back with you.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more, man.
So, but when it comes to difficult situations or challenging situations how do you handle those?
Depends on the situation, but I mean, like I've got a client right now where we have to do a price reduction or a price improvement, as I like to call it. Let's spin it in the positive.
Right.
Yeah, and that's not the most comfortable conversation to have. Like, hey guys, I'm sorry. We've been on the market for several weeks, not getting any offers. Like, I think we're priced too high. Like, I'm sorry to tell you. I was wrong. You were wrong. We both thought we were all wrong here. We all thought the house was going to sell for this, but the market's telling us the market doesn't lie. If it was worth this, somebody would be paying for it.
Right.
And there's two reasons that houses don't sell, and it's either price or condition or
Right.
both. And and this house is in pretty good condition, but I just think we're priced way too high. And it is what it is. Trust me. Like I always, and you got to be sympathetic. You got to tell them like, hey man, trust me. I wish it was selling for more too. I'm paid on a percentage.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like let's be real. Let's be realistic here. Like if it was gonna sell for that, it would have sold for that. The market's telling us it's not.
Right.
If we've been on the market for 2 weeks, we've had 15 showings and no offers, that's telling me something.
Right.
Like for example, I had, that one sell this past weekend for way over asking, and we had 7 groups through the open house and 4 showings outside of that. So that's 11 groups through, and we ended up a couple of great offers. So but it's been that's just one of the difficult things I'll have to deal with. Another thing that I've dealt with a lot is, kind of making a client realize that, hey, you might have a champagne taste on a beer budget. That's something I'll kind of say a lot that, like I have this client that I worked with my first year in real estate. And this was kind of when I was too new and I didn't know what to say, but I ended up showing her like 52 houses and she ended up renting an apartment after that. And that was a really hard one for me because I just didn't have the experience yet to tell her like, hey, this what you're looking for does not exist. This gorgeous, open kitchen with, a 1,500 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom in this beautiful neighborhood doesn't exist for $150,000.
Right.
But we looked at a ton of houses thinking that there was gonna be one that we could make it into that, or we could, and I just didn't have the balls to tell her, or the testicular fortitude
You're welcome.
to tell her that I'm sorry, but like what you want just doesn't exist. And if you're not going to settle for something kind of more realistic for your price point, then, we might need to hold off until you're kind of in a better financial position to purchase a house of that price point.
Right.
So, that's a hard thing to tell someone, that like, hey, I'm sorry, just what you want doesn't exist in this price.
Yeah.
And, it's just a realistic thing, and you got to kind of break some hearts that way. But, and another thing that sucks is telling someone, after I've shown them X amount of houses and we've written X amount of offers, and, and I got to call and tell them like, hey, that one didn't get accepted. Like that's a bummer.
Right.
I've had to make that call hundreds of times, or like, oh, I'm sorry. They went with a different offer. I know you wrote a really strong offer, but someone else's was better. It was better price or better terms or one of these things.
You let me know on the front end, like, hey, there's a bunch of people in front of us, and it's a pretty competitive piece of property. So like, just watch your expectations. I appreciate it.
No, that's something I always try to I never that's one of the best things you can do as a buyer's agent is try to create a relationship with that listing agent from the front, or from the jump. Like if I know, and you get feelings from clients that, oh, they really like this one. Like this might, this checks every single box. They keep texting me about it. They're fired up. They can't wait for Saturday to go see it in person. And I'm like, oh man, I know that this is a really important one to this house, to this couple. I need to be in this listing agent's ear so that, I'm getting all the insights. I need to be, there's a lot of times in this industry where I make the joke to Zach, the guy on my team, that, man, you got to be a professional friend maker. You got to be really outgoing, and you got to be willing to, you got to learn how to make friends quickly, and calling that listing agent, kind of bullshitting with them, and making them like you, because it's like, man, if the listing agent likes you as a buyer's agent, it just helps your situation so much more. It's not going to guarantee that your buyer's offer is the one that gets selected, but if you're up against a couple other offers that are pretty similar, and that agent seems like you're someone who's going to communicate well and seems to really know what they're doing, then they might push your offer toward, in their client's eyes, versus another that, maybe that agent didn't even call them.
Right.
It's like, there's so many people that just don't even pick up the phone and make a call to that agent and find out what's going on with the property. You got to create that relationship. You gotta know what's going on with that house if your client's really interested in it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I was taught early on is, the loan officers or sales in general, the ones that can handle difficult conversations and are the ones that are going to be the most successful. But in that, you also have to prepare the person for the potential of negative things. So, I'm pretty thorough in my consultations that I have with clients to kind of give them an idea of what to expect moving forward. Obviously, things can change, but it's just one of those things. It's never easy, but whenever a tough situation is presented, I always sit down and think, I'm like, all right, how can I best deliver this to make the client still feel at ease? So if I have to find a solution, most of the time it's finding a solution first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do that too.
Making sure I have a solution figured out. So I've got a deal right now.
Like we didn't get this house, but hey, I found this one, the next neighborhood over, price very similarly, comes on the market next week, and I think it might be a great fit. So let's look at that one. Like you got to always have something on the hook.
So yeah, like they've got a deal, tough deal, and everything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong in terms of appraisals and inspections and things like this, and having to navigate through each little bump. And trying to figure out a way for someone that has limited funds for this to work. But it all comes down to communication between the buyer's agent, listing agent, and getting all the information possible so I can go in and play with numbers and play with things to see what we can do to make something truly work for this person. And so I wanted to get all this information before I call my borrower. And then this is all happening as we're recording this podcast. So as soon as we get done with this, I'm going to call this client and say, hey, listen, so I know these things have not gone as smoothly as possible, but we have a solution that we can get you to the closing table and everything's going to be okay. I just need to know if this is something that you're okay with. But being able to handle those conversations and putting them off is never
oh God, it makes it
good.
so much worse.
The sooner you can do it and make that call and
Rip
get
that
it done,
Band-Aid
just
off.
rip it off. And most of the time on our end, we build this up way more than what it is. So like last couple months, I mean, we're starting to see it a little bit more now. But appraisals have been coming in low. And yeah. And so those calls, those calls are never easy. But like, that's the thing is like, I called both agents and like, oh yeah, we figured that it were going to come in low. I'm like, oh, I mean, tell me that. Like, like if you know that you guys wrote a really strong offer, but you don't think that it's going to appraise, let me know. So when the appraisal does come in and it's low, I'm not like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. Doesn't break your heart.
Yeah. Cause I'm,
you're like dreading making that call. Yeah.
Cause like I'll read it.
That's got to be like we didn't get the offer. Yeah. That's like we didn't get that. Our offer didn't get selected call.
Exactly.
You got to call until the pre-appraisal came in low.
Exactly. And so, it's one of those things where it's just like, if I knew ahead of time that they didn't expect it, then, that makes it an easier phone call. Like, hey, all right, well, what were you expecting it to come in at? Cause this is what we got. But yeah, I mean, making that call, like in my head, I was just like, yeah, this is a tough conversation that's going to be had. I just have to do it and get it done. But I review the appraisal first. Every appraisal now since 2008 gets sent to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and is part of their database. So they know and they grade all these appraisals. So I look at what it's graded. I look at the appraisal and I look and see, I'm like, all right, so here I was like, you know what? This is actually a really good appraisal, pretty fair. Or you know what? We might be able to get an adjustment, more of an adjustment for this and that, and we might be able to make it work. So I know all that going in, like, hey, when I call the agent, like, hey, got the appraisal, but I want to talk to you because I think there might be room for wiggle room. Obviously, we want our buyer to get this as low as possible. So, I don't want to make any adjustments or try to fight this if the client's not okay with it. But both were able to, like, oh no, we expected this. We're fine. They're fine. They know this going in. So I'm like, all right, cool. So we're just going to leave it as is. But there's been times where like, all right, no, because like appraisal gaps or not having an appraisal gap.
Right.
And they're having to come in with extra money and they've waived the appraisal. So we have to figure out, all right, we're going to fight this. And I'm like, here's the thing. I need you to give me comps. I'll call the listing agent. I'll see what comps they used. And compare to what's on the appraisal. And if there's comps that weren't used and we can justify using them, I'll be more than happy to fight this. And I've gotten good at being able to appeal stuff. And I'm like the one we had in Kansas City, that one was insane.
That one, man.
Yeah, I just talked to her the other day. She's doing well.
Doing good.
Yeah,
good.
she's doing good.
Good.
So yeah,
Love it.
Yeah. And we were able to fight it and we were able to get more money out of it and figure out a way to make it work and for everyone. But yeah, it's just being able to problem solve, but able to have that solution prior to going into the tough conversation is always key. So
yeah, know
who you're working with.
Yeah.
Not all
so
real estate agents are the same. Not all loan officers or mortgage lenders or companies are the same.
Content creators.
It's exactly. Like, it's one of those things like I know people that take more time reviewing and reviews on restaurants they're going to go eat than they do their mortgage lender. And 100%. This is one of the biggest purchases or real estate agent. This is going to be the biggest purchase of their life. So why not have somebody that's doing this that has a proven track record? And
look at their experience.
Right.
And it's probably going to tell you a lot about your experience with them. Like that's one of the best things. That's a great piece of advice. Do some homework, man.
Right,
like, just look them up, Google them.
Yeah,
look at their social media. If they're not on social media, it might be a red flag. Not necessarily. There's a lot of great agents that are probably not on social media, but that is a great kind of window into, like, I think if you go on either one of ours, you get a very good picture of what to expect working with us. Cause I mean, especially with this podcast, like we can't fake who we are. We're 100% Zach and Pat. Yeah, exactly. We can't. I mean, you can't spend this, we've got over,
we're working on 40 episodes.
Yeah, we've got probably 40 plus. We've probably got 50 hours plus of us talking on the internet.
Oh,
you can
easy.
You can figure out,
who we are.
who we are,
Yeah.
you know, and you can figure out pretty quickly if you're going to vibe with that person or not.
Yeah.
And
And I'll just say, if you get something that's offered to you that seems too good to be true, odds are it probably is.
Yeah.
So,
all right, guys. Well, that'll wrap it up today. Thanks to NeuroGum. Thanks to Fit Flavors. Promo code podcast50. We are reading the book on mental toughness for the month of April. We're going to be doing a podcast all about this book at the end of the month here, just recapping it. So if you want to get the book, read it along with us. We'll be doing a podcast all about the book at the end of the month. So tune in for that. Make sure you are subscribed. Hit that like button for me. Comment what you thought down below, and we will see you next time.